Hello and welcome to my latest new shiny, Heroes of Terrinoth. So I know I was on a big streak of DVG games and now I seem to be on a big streak of FFG games. It's not intentional, it's just how the things are arriving at my house. There's a big GMT sale and I actually just received a couple of games from them. Unfortunately, their rule books are atrocious and it's going to take me a long time before I can decipher those and do a video. Heroes of Terrinoth is something I pre-ordered immediately. I just love the Terrinoth universe. FFG's games in general are pretty good. There's a few I don't care for. And sometimes they're just mediocre. But the Terrinoth ones, or at least the whole mythos of Terrinoth, I own Descent in its entirety. The second edition, not the first edition. I was a late comer to FFG. And then also, FFG is very close to my home. I'm in Minnesota, and FFG is headquartered here, and they have a huge event center, which I recommend highly to anybody who ever comes to the area. And I have a very large gaming group that goes to FFG every week. It's just such a wonderful place. And then the people that work there, of which I know many, they're also very wonderful. And so if you're ever at the event center, be sure to ask for Dave. He's the nicest guy there, and he's just totally awesome to speak with, and his services is awesome. So thank you, Dave. Shout out to him. But anyways, back to the game. This just arrived today, and so I've been busy doing work and all that life stuff you have to do that gets annoyingly in the way. And I'm ready to start my first scenario, the Goblin Problem. Now, some of you may be aware that this is sort of a reskin of a Warhammer game called, I think, Warhammer Quest. I never owned that game and I've never played it. So this is brand new to me. And I think for those of you that have played that, this is going to be very familiar. I'm being told that at least. And I wish I had played it because I think the rules would have been familiar. But I have to be honest, as far as FFG rule sets go, this one is a pretty clean one. And I don't know, it felt great. Of course I'm going to get a few wrong. I'm doing a video and that's just the nature of the beast. But I think I am well on my way to being able to go. So there is only one rule book. FFG usually does the 2 rule book style, but it is just one. And it starts off with, how to do setup. And basically it assumes that you're going to do the Goblin Problem in its examples, which I found to be extremely helpful. So when you get your game, there's some basic things you need to do. And the first one is you're going to want to separate your exploration cards, which are going to look like this. That's your exploration cards. There are a few that have these little asterisks next to them. They are special. Set them off to the side. And then everything else, just make sure they're sorted. They have a little label on the bottom left. So that, for example, those ones are darkness and these ones are dungeon. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. Another thing is you're going to have these types of cards. One's going to say focused, and then weakened, and that's what it looks like on the other side, and poisoned. These are condition cards. You just set those aside. You're going to have 3 sets of bits. These are progress tokens, wound tokens, and those are aid tokens. You're going to have what's called location tokens, and they're going to have this back. And again, they're going to be, well, you don't sort these per se. They just have a name to them. And then they're called out based on the quest that you choose. And I'll show you how that works in a second. You're going to have your, these are your ability cards for each of your classes. So this is your healer class. And then you're going to have the scout class. And then the mage class. And then the warrior class. So to start your first game, you're going to want to find the ones that say basic on them. So there's going to be a set of 4 cards that say basic on every one. for each class. Okay, there's going to be a bunch of other ones, but they're going to be set aside, and those are for when you level up and maybe get more powerful or whatever. And so, for example, a mage can eventually become a rune master, or I think the other one's a geomancer, if I can ever do this with one hand. Yeah, there you go, geomancer. You're going to have an enemy deck, and those are going to have 2 sets of cards in it, and you're going to want to separate them. The first set says Nemesis at the top, and you're going to see there's quite a few of them. So set those apart. And then the other set is going to have, you know, like, for example, these are zombies. And then there's always 3 cards of each. So you're going to have 2 regular zombies and a master. And then for the Dark Priest, 2 regular Dark Priests and a master. And so you want to keep them together like that. And I think that's it. So for this particular quest, you want to start with the back of the card, the Goblin Problem. And you'll see the story so far. We'll read that in a second. And there's special setup instructions. It'll tell you, like, this is obviously the starter one, so it's not going to throw a lot at you. But it tells you here you need to take your archers, your witchers, and your rat swarms, shuffle them up, and they're going to go on top of bandits, cave spiders, and ogres. So you're basically making an enemy deck. So, so it's pretty simple. You just take your, so right there you can see I have 3 spiders, 3 bandits, 3 ogres. That's going to be the bottom of the deck. So shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I was going to shuffle these before the video started, and I thought, well, maybe it'd be helpful to show you that there's 3 of each set. And it's really funny because some of you write me and tell me how awesome it is that I step you through this, and then other ones tell me, well, you just get on with the game already. So if you're at this spot and you're in the just get on with the game already, I promise you, jump to video 2, and you'll be fine. And I'm trying to please everybody here, and please just be conscious of that. And then we have Rat Swarm, Goblin Witcher, and Archers. And so that's going to be the top of the deck. So we're going to shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And thank you for being awesome, and for all the questions and comments. And thank you for your patience when I get rules wrong, which I think is a guarantee in just about every video I do. But I do get better. And some of you have actually helped me to discover rules that I didn't even realize existed. So I appreciate that as well. So we got an enemy deck, and that's going to just, you know, just go anywhere. I'm just going to put it here. We then have to make a location deck, and it's the Roadside Inn, Dark Forest, and then Brigand Camp. The Roadside Inn is the first one that was going to be revealed. And how do I know that? I know that because it tells me here. Roadside Inn, Dark Forest, Brigand Camp. And then it shows for the exploration cards, you need to have base, wild, and village. And that's simple enough. You can just see here that there's wild, village, and then base cards. So you need to shuffle those. And so basically, these are all your decks you're going to use for the game. And we're going to interact with those. The next choice I have to make is, do I want to play this pure solo, which according to the game rules means I'm going to play a 2-player game. Now, if you've played Imperial Assault or even Descent, they have like these special cards. You know, these cards are for 3 players, those cards are for 2 players. And if you're doing a 2-player game, a 2-character game, let's put it that way, you're going to get to activate twice during the hero phase instead of just once. And then you get an extra 10 hit points for each hero. And that's to compensate for the fact that you're not playing with 4 characters, you're only playing with 2. There are things in this game that will cause you to take damage, and having only 2 characters, you were going to get... So for example, you can only be engaged with 3 monsters at a time. If you're playing a 4-character game, the way monsters engage you is they start with the party leader and then they rotate around. Well, if you're only playing a 2-character game and you start at the party leader and rotate around, you're gonna, and you only have 2 characters, you're gonna fill up fast with engaged monsters. And anyways, long story short, once you're full, and you have all 3 engaged with you, you then start taking damage after that. So those 10 extra hit points, I think, are going to be very necessary to keep you balanced with the game. Now, these are the kind of games, like when I played Descent against the app, or Imperial Assault even, I like to play with all 4 classes. And obviously Imperial Assault doesn't have classes like the way Descent does, but I just like to do that. And I'm going to try all 4 classes. It may be a big mistake. I probably should just do 2. But I would be in analysis paralysis over which 2 to be, because I love all the classes in the Terrinoth world. So I'm just going to do all 4. We're going to set it up that way. And last couple of things you need for your setup is right here at the top. It says Splig, and what that's saying is remember that special deck of Nemesis cards you were supposed to set aside? You need to grab Splig. So he's basically the boss, or the Nemesis as this goes, that's going to be involved. And so he is going to be in like his lair, if you will, and he's set off to the side. So I will read this when I start video 2, so that way everybody can have the flavor. I'll also read the victory and defeat conditions. I think that's what's awesome about this game, is I think we're already set up. Once I finish reading it, you're going to want to take just this token here, and what you do is you start the game there, like so. They do give you a reference card, like that, and I think it could be a little more helpful based on what I read in the rules, but it's still got a lot of good information on it. Beyond that, I do need to pick my class. So I will do that in between videos here. Well, I can do that here with you. And then of course I need to pick a party leader. So as I said at the beginning, you have to start with the basic cards. Every hero has 4 cards, and the 4 cards are always going to be special cards. Like they're always going to be 1 aid, 1 attack, 1 explore, and 1 rest. And it'll become more evident as we play. And like I said, I've never played before, so this is going to be very interesting and hopefully fun game. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. I hope I'm not disappointed. So from the healer class, you have Elder Mock here. And just real quick, this is your hit points. So that's how much health you have. And obviously it says that these are the healer classes, and then they show that with the hand and then the fact that they're blue. So they do a real nice job of you're not going to be confused over which one's which. So between the healer classes, actually all classes, you're going to have 3 to choose from. This game is just seeping with expansion pack is on its way. So anyways, 3 of each for now. All right, so let's check them out. The Elder Mock. During your activation, when another hero recovers 1 or more health, you also recover 1 health. Okay, that's typical Elder Mock. He's been that way for quite a while, so that's pretty interesting. At the start of the enemy phase, you may exhaust 1 minion or master engaged with you. So she has a staff. She tends to be a little on the fighty side, and so basically she uses her staff to exhaust an enemy. So what does that mean? That means when the enemies activate, only the ones that are unexhausted are actually going to do anything. So this is just like any of the Arkham Horror or other games. If you can exhaust an enemy before it's their turn, they actually don't do anything other than unexhaust on their turn. And then resolving your action, you may change a shield result to a success. That's what that means. That's a success. I have no idea how valuable that is. Haven't played before. So Elder Mock definitely looks like he could stay alive quite a lot if other people are healing. But I'm going to, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with Averick Albright. I like the classical cleric look. She's also pretty awesome in Descent, although Ashrian is pretty good in her own way. And so now we move on to the fighters. Okay, so you got Krutzbeck. He's your typical berserker type. After resolving your attack action for each enemy you defeated, choose one enemy engaged with you, and that enemy suffers 1. So obviously Krutzbeck wants to have multiple enemies engaged with him, otherwise that is a useless skill. When resolving your action, you may re-roll 1 die. I like that. Cinderella, by the way, is your classic warrior type. If I remember, this one had a lot of movement and descent, so it was very fast. When resolving your action for each... so these are the aid tokens. That's these things. So for each of those you spend, apply +1 shield to the results in addition to +1 success. Okay, that's pretty cool. So the rules are, if you have two, so as a player you can aid other players and give these to other players, okay? If you spend 2 of them, they can count as 1 success. So you have to spend 2. What this One Fist guy is doing is, for every 1 you spend, you get to apply a shield to the results in addition to the success. That's crazy. That means you get 2 shields and 2 successes for the same price as everybody else getting 1. I feel like I'm misunderstanding something there. That seems just really powerful. Obviously re-rolling a die is pretty powerful too. And he's got the most health. That's what's crazy about this. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna maybe board game geek that one and make sure I understand that. So I'm gonna go with Cinderella so I don't get into rule issues with that one. After any hero's activation, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check the rules actually to make sure I understand these, because if I remember the rules correctly, and remember I've never played this before, you spend 2 just to get 1 success. And so that, if I understood that correctly, it's saying if you spend 2, you get 2 successes and 2 shields. That's like double, quadruple the benefit to anybody else. It just seems like a no-brainer. You'd pick him every time. After any hero's activation, you may exhaust 1 activation card to add 1 progress to the active location. Once per round. Oh, that's interesting. This one, I think you need to play the game at least once to get a good mastery of that. At the start of the enemy phase, if there are no face-down enemies in the shadows, claim 1. Ooh, that could be helpful. After resolving your action, if you do not spend any, you get to claim 1. I like him. He seems pretty simple. Simple enough. During your attack action, apply -1 to the resilience. Okay, resilience is like the enemy's shields. That is pretty handy. During your attack action, after you're rolling dice, you may discard 1 to ignore the result of an enemy die. Before your action, you may discard 1 to choose an enemy. That enemy just suffers 1 damage. All right, I like that. You just basically just cause enemies to suffer damage. And here's the other thing with the rules. So this one, you get to apply -1 to the resilience. We'll just use Splig here. Splig has 10 health, but 2 resilience. So if you do 2 damage to Splig, it basically goes into his armor, and then no actual damage occurs. So you have to do 3 damage to Splig just to cause 1 actual damage to him. It's very simple math. Now what Tethris is saying is that she gets to take 1 away. So if she does 3 damage to Splig, she'll actually do 2 actual damage. Whereas what this one's saying is if you spend one of these tokens, it just does 1 damage. The rules are very specific that if it's not an attack action and enemies take damage from anything that's outside of an attack action, it completely ignores this entirely. So the resilience is ignored, the armor. So it's a lot more powerful than you might think. Being able to, this one's more powerful, obviously, against the armored targets like that. They're both very similar, to be quite honest, and this one actually gives you an extra health. Oh, why am I wasting so much time? Let's just play the dang game. I will go with... See, I'm such a thematic dungeon romper. I like the arrows, the bow and arrows. So I'm going to go with the bow and arrows. We'll try that one. And that's it. So a lot of cards are going to sit out. You know, once you've selected your enemies and your nemesis and, you know, these cards are sitting out of the game, I'm going to arrange these so that every hero is going to have room for his 4 cards. And if I do change my mind between videos after arranging these, just because I want more table space, I might do that, but I'm going to force this to work. Anyways, thank you for watching. We're at 20 minutes. I'm going to stop this and then we're going to get started.